Enjoy this conversation with me, Maureen Kimani, every Friday from 9 a.m. on our Health Corner show here at Capuchin TV. Your health is your wealth.
A very good morning to you. Thank you, dear viewers, for joining us on our Health Corner conversation right here on Capuchin TV, a program brought to you by Capuchin TV in collaboration with Lifesite News, that is a Canadian Catholic conservative anti-abortion advocacy website and news publication. Of course, they advocate about issues affecting the family and life. Well, today's conversation is quite interesting, as you can see on down below on the title, that is Understanding Gender Confusion. Well, and before we begin about this conversation, I want to talk about the debate, of course, we all know that has been in our country on LGBTQ+. And of course, I'll read a statement that was just given out by the KCCB, that is Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops here in Kenya. And they said that, affirming that Kenya is a God-fearing nation and that life is sacred and precious gift from God, who created humanity as male and female in his own image and likeness. The bishops say that the narrative for the statement signed by the Kenya Conference chairman, that is Archbishop Martin Kivuva Musonde of Mombasa Archdiocese, the ideology is an attempt to undermine the family and cultural values which are rooted in very nature of humankind. Well, what's your thought on this conversation? And if you'd love to share your experiences, and of course, what you'd love to share with our viewers, and of course, with the guests here in the studio, you can do that on 0717-424-866, or you can use our SMS number, that is 21760. And as you all know that I don't do this alone, of course, we have experts in the studio who shed more light about every conversation and topic that we have in the studio. And today we're very delighted to have two beautiful lady and a gentleman here with me. And of course, they will be introducing themselves in just a few, and of course, telling us what they do and what do we expect from them as per our conversation is concerned. A very good morning. Welcome to the conversation. Hello, dear.
Hello.
Good morning. How are you all feeling?
Feeling good. I'm cold.
Oh, I know it's very cold, but at least we have some hot water to keep you warm.
Yeah, I've learned to drink tea in Kenya.
Well, let me just say thank you very much for making time and for coming here to share to our viewers on this conversation about gender confusion. I know you have a lot to share on this part, your experiences and what you have learned in your field. But before that, I'd love you to tell our viewers who you are, as they say, ladies first. Let's begin with you, Francis.
Amazing.
Yes.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. My name is Hepzibah Frances Okoro. I won't say the traditional name because you cannot pronounce it.
Okay.
I'm a Nigerian, an author, lawyer, and youth mentor. I've been in youth ministry for 9 years running now. And I started that during just after graduating from law school. And really the whole idea behind it was go back to secondary schools, go back to universities and share with them what you wish someone had shared with you when you were there. Because my teenage years and even into my university years were years of confusion. A whole lot of things happened. And I just started having this passion that said, go back there. There are young girls there in those schools that are like you, so go back there. So I run a youth organization that goes to secondary schools and universities and teenage camps. Everywhere we find young people, literally, and share the message of purpose, sexual purity, which is where the whole gender thing comes under.
All right. Thank you very much, Francis. And by the way, welcome to Kenya. How do you find your country?
Asante. Thank you.
Apart from the cold being.
Apart from the cold. Well, I like the chapati.
Oh, the chapati.
At least that's one thing I like.
Okay, well, thank you very much for making time.
Yeah, the kindness of the people.
Wow, amazing, amazing. Thank you very much, Francis, for that insight. I guess moving on to the male person who is here, a very good gentleman and a very great person in the society. Yes. Let's continue.
Ladies are not fair. Okay, my name is Tobias Nauruki. I'm the Empowered Youth Coalition Africa Regional Coordinator. I work with the young people. I started working with the youth since 2019. We've been in this space for a very long time because we understand the young people today are struggling with so many issues, trying to test things to make them right. And that's why we chose that instead of working with the professionals alone, can you also bring in the youth and be able to help them to understand that there are many issues they ought to understand? So I work with the youth in Africa. Besides that, other stories we'll share. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Tobias. And I'm sure the reason why Tobias said that ladies are unfair is because we wore purple, but we did tell him to put on top.
You should have gotten the memo.
Next time we'll let him know about that. But thank you very much for making time, of course, and thank you for it's my pleasure having you here in a conversation, Tobias and Francis. It's the very first time we are having you here at Capuchin TV, so thank you very much for making time. And let's begin with a conversation. When you talk about these gender confusion, what is it all about? What do you understand by that, Francis? Let's begin with you.
I believe it's a part of a young person trying to figure out who they are. I think the whole gender confusion is based on identity. It's a question, who am I? I actually have a book on that title. Who am I? That's really the question. So am I male? Am I female? If I'm male, then, and then the Christians say that a male is supposed to love a female, but I find myself loving a male in return. So who am I? So I believe the confusion is actually a question.
Okay.
That needs an answer. Who am I?
All right. I don't know, Tobias, you have something else to add on whatever Francis has talked about.
Yeah. To me, gender confusion is, we all know from the dictionary definition of gender, gender is a character. So today, many people are confusing between gender and sex. Sex is biologically assigned. And who assigned sex is God.
It's God, sure.
Gender is assigned by we, the people now. We are trying to figure out who is Francis, who is Maureen. So when we start to think about who is Maureen in that perception, we are confused to differentiate between gender and sex. And that's why in many UN documents and other documents that are now being brought in the African continent, hidden into the different policy frameworks that are trying to bring this issue of gender identity, gender analysis, not to mean the male and female, but to mean other things. Now they're bringing this to mean LGBTQ and other styles. So the young people, I would like to agree with my sister here, are trying to understand what is it. Am I a man or am I a female? So with that, that's why we are saying this is gender confusion. Because the only person who assigns us our either male or female is God. And today now the other people are saying, oh, a medical doctor can assign you when you are born a gender when you are born, either you're male or female. That's not right. Because when we tend to do that, we are confusing the many parents today who are now figuring out, can I allow my kid to assign himself or herself a gender, which is not true. So that's why we mean gender confusion.
All right.
And we need to understand that. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Tobias, for that insight. And you mentioned about parents. Let's talk. Do you think parents have failed on this because they support the kids even to go and do the transgender thing? What's the main cause of this gender confusion? What do you think about that, Francis?
Number one, it's obviously not from God, because God is not confused. God was very clear. when he assigned sexes according to bias, not gender, sexes. At birth, it was either male or female. He was very clear about it. He wasn't confused. He wasn't intending to make you a male and then accidentally made you a female. He's not a confused God. That's number one. So the confusion is coming from somewhere else, which is the world, which is men trying to be demigods. Men trying to say, well, God must have made a mistake. We know better. That's where the confusion is coming from. So when it comes to a parent trying to establish a child, their child, in what they believe is right, it's a question of, do you believe the world or do you believe God? If you believe the world, then you say, oh, my child, well, we're just going to allow you choose. You know, and very likely they'll choose the world. And then you say that is love. Well, I don't want to be overbearing as a parent. So I'm just going to allow them make choices. But God gave you that child and made you a steward over them. Who is a steward? Is one entrusted with a responsibility. And the responsibility is to guide. Responsibility is to mold. So from when they're children to being teenagers, a lot of what they should believe actually should come from what you've been guiding and molding them on. You actually supposed to be the first point of call, not them. They're children. They don't know so much. Yes, at a point you give them an opportunity to then choose, but that's because you must have been confident enough in what you've been putting into them from when they were children, in what you've been molding them with, in what you've been sharing with them, in what you've been discipling them. Because today parents take the children to church and say the Sunday school disciple my children. But they're not the first stewards. You are. So if you shelf off that responsibility to someone else, and then they feed your children with whatever they want, and then your child comes and says, Mom, I don't think I'm a female, I think I'm a male. And then you allow them and say, okay, just go do whatever they want. It didn't come from them. It came from what they heard somewhere else, and not from God. I feel we parents are like the intermediaries, especially if you're a Christian parent. You are a steward. And the right stewardship is according to God's own plan. I want my child to grow up in the image of God. We actually say that Christian homes should be like discipleship camps. You know how they have teenage camps? Your home should be like that. You are a discipler. And your first point of call is your home. Not the ministry outside, your home.
Thank you very much, Francis, for that insight. Yes, Tobias, I can see yourself nodding the head. It's like you want to say something. Yes, go ahead.
It is an interesting conversation because she reminds me how my mother and my father brought me up. And that's why the essence of parental role comes in when you bring up your child. It is very important, as she said, that the way you bring up your child is the way he or she is going to grow up in an adult who is responsible in life. When we relate with the biblical teaching, when God created man and woman, that's Adam and Eve, he told them that go to the world and procreate. He didn't create Adam and Adam. He created Adam and Eve, two sexes, male and female. And he gave them a responsibility that you are a man and you are a woman, ensure you procreate. He didn't mean now we confuse ourselves by when Adam now and Eve started to procreate, to give back to the world, so that the people who are created through them to take care of the world, they didn't confuse themselves and later on, because they only had two people. Today, in our family setup, there are only two parents, a woman and a man. If you give birth to 2 or 3 or let's say 10 kids, the way you will bring up, they will watch you, and a child is very wise. As she says, the first disciple home is the marital home where a man and a woman lives, and they give birth to the children. So taking care of your children, teaching them the best ways on how you have been living, and also correlating with the Christian teachings, you will bring up a responsible son and a responsible daughter that will follow the same and be a responsible mother tomorrow. But if you leave your child to learn from the world, you will regret later. Like today, many parents are regretting taking a child to school and the child does not behave the same way you behave. So you start to blame the people around you. It is your responsibility to bring up either a responsible president like the current president William Ruto, who has a wife, or a less confused man tomorrow who will marry his colleague man. That's not marriage. You are confused. That's what we mean gender confused. So the parents should now start teaching their children the best ways on how to live a life.
All right.
Or else we will be confused all the time.
Okay, yes, Francis. Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Okay, so also we find out that, you know, sometimes when a parent shelves that responsibility, and then when they come to, the child is already an adult. And now you're trying to correct what you didn't do at the beginning. It's going to be harder. So it should start from the, you know, and I believe this is where the whole, there's a movement in the Christian world on homeschooling, actually. That's because mothers and fathers are coming to the point where they're saying, I want to spend as much time as I can with my child from when they are little. And I know that I'm going to pour out a lot into them, you know, putting the tenets of God into them. So by the time they're going out into the world, they're not going empty. They're not going like just swallowing whatever they're receiving. They remember that, oh, mom taught me this from the scriptures. And it's like you have a reasoning. They have something to put it together with and say, okay, no, this doesn't fit. You know, so start early as much as possible, and this is not a condemnation. If you didn't do that when your kids were younger, you know, God brings restoration.
All right.
That's why a Swahili word says, samaki mkunje angali mpichi. If you don't fold a fish while still fresh, whoever came up with that proverb didn't mean you go and fish and then you start foul fish. No, start training your child who are still at 2 years or 3 years, or else you will regret, as I say.
Okay, thank you very much, Tobias and Francis. Still on you, Francis, your experiences encompasses a period of involvement being a lesbian. Kindly share your story. How did that begin? Yes.
I still say today that I wasn't a lesbian. I was just involved in lesbianism for a year. And really looking back, I think it was not just the act of lesbianism itself, it was also like a part of my journey. So my parents had been divorced when I was about 9 or 10, and physically I was fine. I was still like high flying in school, senior prefect, top of my class and everything. But emotionally, psychologically, I wasn't fine. I realize now that one of the things, and then coupled with other things you go through as a teenager, I thought I wasn't beautiful, I thought I wasn't good enough. In my boarding school then, we had people who, school mothers, school daughters, school friends would want, no one would want me, and I'll think, oh, I'm unwanted, you know. So looking back, I had like all those issues. It wasn't the involvement in lesbianism didn't just spring up out of nowhere. It had these like roots underneath it. So when this person, you know, started coming on to my life, and it started platonically, started with writing letters, buying you food that break, like I want to be your friend. That's how it started. I really felt elated. I felt like, oh, finally. I thought I was unseen. I thought I was invincible. I thought no one really wanted me. I thought I wasn't beautiful. I thought I wasn't good enough. And so having attention from one person was like top of the world, right? And then it graduated from there into, I was sick, very sick. I used to have these really bad bouts of malaria. I think the malaria was almost 4+ at the time. And I was getting into fever where I couldn't see. I was just delirious. And in a very twisted act, I know even her at the time would believe that it was love, because she was literally crying and then touching me. So in her mind, she very well could have been like, I love this person so much, and she's sick, and maybe, I don't know, twisted way, like comfort, I don't know. But that was how it started. And then when I came back, my brother took me home. I went to the hospital, I was treated, and then I came back to school, and it just continued from there. And continued for a year. And it wasn't, in my head, it wasn't like lesbianism. I knew it was wrong because I had grown up in a Christian home, even though I wasn't yet born again. I didn't have a personal relationship with Jesus. So I knew it was wrong, but somewhere in the back of my head, I'm like, this is love. So again, there's a question of a definition of what is love. Exactly. So
tell us what is love. Would you understand?
Well, I believe God is love, and that anything that is outside of what God describes as love is really not love.
Perfect definition.
It may seem like, but it isn't. So I thought, oh, you know, this is love. I love this person. She loves me back, you know. But after the 1 year, my last year in secondary school, actually, that ended, and I was never involved in lesbianism again.
Okay.
But the effects would go on for like a very long time, even till after I had known Christ. And after I'd known Christ, it was even worse because I'm thinking back to my life and I'm thinking, why did this ever happen? Like, why couldn't I have escaped this matter, you know, at a particular point in time? Yeah, but that was my story.
Okay.
That was my story. Okay. I'm glad because I'm able to look at that time of my life and look at how it was not just a lesbianism act alone. Because if you're a parent and you're looking at, oh, why is my daughter involved in lesbianism? Stop this, stop this, stop this. But there may be attendant issues. Do you know if your daughter is struggling with low self-esteem and maybe this person is the only person who is showing them and giving them attention?
Okay.
Do you know if they think this is not wrong because I'm in love? So do you know if they're struggling with really knowing what God says is love? You know? So there's a whole lot of other attendant issues alongside.
All right. Wow. Quite an inspiring story. And by the way, we congratulate you for being a successful and phenomenal lady because you're a lawyer, you're an author, you've written so many books. And by the way, whatever the experiences you had, that is past. Exactly. And I'm sure that it doesn't define you right now.
I wouldn't be able, because we go to schools, and most of what makes the teenagers actually open up to us. My story now is just, I see it as a tool of evangelism, because when we go to schools and I share, I find that they are more open. The girls are more open, the boys are more open. They just, I don't think we would have the success we have with them. Because most teenagers, they don't share with their parents, actually.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. They fear.
Yeah. So I thank God.
Oh, all right. Well, moving to Tobias, as an Africa regional coordinator of the Empowered Coalition Youth, let's talk about what is your experiences when it comes to the internet, because the youths are very exposed to internet. Talking about the 21st century, if you would love to call it, do you feel that it has the influence of the lifestyle that the youths are living right now?
Yeah, today the world is being controlled by internet, and I can say statistically 99% of the young people today between the ages of 13 years and 34, let's say, to 39 years are using internet. There are so many social media platforms today that are being uploaded on our smartphones. We have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have Instagram, and the famous one, the current famous one that is trending is TikTok. And you recently heard the president raising concerns to the CEO of TikTok that the content that is being uploaded on TikTok is nasty. It is unacceptable to the African settings. So the many young people using internet today, internet has now corrupted our minds. It has made our young people inclusive, not to do the things our parents used to do in the late 90s. It has corrupted our minds now. What my sister has just talked about, and I would like to congratulate her for taking up that step to now use her story to transform the society today, to the many parents and young people who are confused still up to today. When you check on what TikTok, for instance, has, the content that is being published there, our children are under risk. Because what they learn, they are practicing it in their schools. What our colleague young people are learning from TikTok, they're doing it in universities, they're doing it in high school. So internet adds a lot of harm. It has numerous stuff that has corrupted our mind. Can just highlight but a few. 3 years ago, Kenya banned YouTube from producing content that are aligned to pornography. Today, now we have run away from YouTube, now going to TikTok. TikTok has given a platform for that. When you come to Facebook, you are pretty aware today when you talk about relationships, the young people are doing what we call online dating. And to surprise you, if you are an African, you'll meet a lady, a very beautiful lady, quote unquote, that is not a lady, on Facebook,
It's
with
true.
a very beautiful photo as his profile. Very beautiful photo that is his profile. But when you go deep down the story, he's not a lady, but he's dating a very good, confused young man in Kenya. And you know what they are doing? They're giving money. So they give you money, you travel to, let's say, US or Europe only to meet a man who call himself, what? A lady. Using what? Internet. We brag ourselves, hey, when you meet today young men in corridors, the corners, in pubs, even at university. I was a student later at the university and also this. Bragging, I got a very beautiful lady. In fact, he started to post on status. I got a beautiful what? Young
Lady.
man. And he's now the guy is giving him pocket money, which the parents not giving. It's because of internet. TikTok today as well. They have what we call live chatting. You get a man. Recently, I took my 20 minutes to check on what's happening on TikTok. Late night, at around 12 o'clock at night is when the young men and women are very active. So I joined a live chat, and with my curiosity, I wanted to know what is happening.
I think, Tobias, I'm going to cut you very short on that story.
Yes.
And maybe we can take a very short break. And then when we come back, we would love to hear what you have to say.
Thank
Because
you.
I'm very curious what you're going to talk about, your experiences on TikTok, and of course, the live feed that you saw. But thank you very much, Francis and Tobias. And with that, I think we're going to take a very short break. But when we come back, we shall have a very interesting conversation and, of course, experience from Tobias. That's what you're going to begin with. So stay tuned, and in case you have any question, you can share that on our social media handles and of course on our phone, that is 0717 424 866, or you can use our SMS number, that is 21760. Stay tuned. We'll be right back in just a few.
Enjoy this conversation with me, Maureen Kimani, every Friday from 9 a.m. on our Health Corner show here at Capuchin TV. Your health is your wealth.
na igreja do meu bairro, vejo somente pessoas mais velhas. A igreja agora é coisa de velhos?
La iglesia no es un club para la tercera edad, como tampoco es un club juvenil. Si se convierte en algo de viejos, va a morir. San Juan Pablo II decía que si vivís con los jóvenes, también vos te volvés joven. Y la iglesia necesita a los jóvenes para no envejecer.
Dear Pope Francis, why did you choose the theme Mary Arose and Went with Haste for this World Youth Day?
Porque María, en cuanto sabe que va a ser la Madre de Dios, no se queda allí tomándose un selfie o presumiendo. Lo primero que hace es ponerse en camino a toda prisa para servir, para ayudar. También ustedes tienen que aprender de ella, ponerse en camino para ayudar a los demás.
Attendez-vous des Gêmes de Lisbonne?
Me gustaría ver en Lisboa una semilla del mundo del futuro, un mundo donde el amor esté en el centro, donde nos podamos sentir hermanas y hermanos. Estamos en guerra, necesitamos otra cosa, un mundo que no tenga miedo a testimoniar el Evangelio, un mundo con alegría, porque los cristianos, si no tenemos alegría, no somos creíbles, no nos cree nadie.
Rezemos para que a Jornada Mundial da Juventude em Lisboa
Will help us young people to set out in this journey.
En témoin de l'évangile par nos propres vies.
Enjoy this conversation with me, Maureen Kimani, every Friday from 9 a.m. on our Health Corner show here at Capuchin TV. Your health is your wealth.
Welcome back, dear viewer, on our conversation right here on our Health Corner show with me, Maureen Kimani, a program brought to you by Capuchin TV in collaboration with Lifesite News. And well, first part we've had a very good, interesting conversation on this topic, that is understanding gender confusion. And in the studio, I have two guests, that is Mr. Tobias Nairuki, an Africa Regional Coordinator, Empowered Youth Coalition. And moving on, we have Francis, who is an author, lawyer, and a youth mentor from Lagos, Nigeria. And we're very delighted to have both of you here in our conversation in our program. Thank you very much. And let's continue the conversation. Welcome back, both of you.
Thank you.
Yes, and I remember before we went for the break, I did cut Tobias very short. You were sharing your experiences on the internet. Kindly pick up from there.
Yeah, it is interesting that today the many young people are confused. This phone has more than 200 sites that you can use either positively or negatively to change the life of a young person. In my experience in Africa, having served in that capacity with young people, I've met so many young people with different stories, inclusive what my sisters just shared. And the many stories you hear from the young people, they're talking about the many positive things without knowing tomorrow they're going to have their life. So to the parents, today TikTok is the best social media for the young people. When you talk about mobile phone, the young people will go to Apple Store or iPhone, iPad to be able to download that app. Reason? He or she is curious to learn what others are really learning.
Okay.
today they're not using Facebook. They've left Facebook to the old people, they say, quote unquote. They've left Twitter to the professionals. They've left LinkedIn to the professionals. They are now coming to TikTok. And how are they using TikTok? That those who are using TikTok, one, to market themselves. Yes, they're looking for money. Many young people are desperate. But how they are marketing themselves to get money is totally different from what we believe as Africans and from our...
Oh, sorry for the that challenge. Yes.
TikTok has done more harm, and I can highlight few. Key of the areas that TikTok has done, pornography is now live again back in Africa. Sexualization of our children is now back in our society. Then key amongst the many things again, families are breaking up. Families are breaking up in these ways. I'm married, for instance, using an example to a lady whom I'll say, let's say, giving an example, 20 years. And because of the mobile phone, which were not there actively being used in those generations, now they're here. From work, the lady is supposed to prepare a meal for us to eat at 7.
Okay.
But because she has seen something interesting on TikTok, she wants to watch. And you know, the moment you get addicted to it, you'll watch and then go to the next. Will the food be prepared?
No.
The next time, if I don't understand, I will tell her, go back to your family and be taught on how to operate at home. Today, children are not passing exams. They're using TikTok. Another way internet has done, we are aware of ChatGPT. ChatGPT has taken away our library books. My sister is writing books, library books. Now, young people want to understand. If we have talked about gender confusion today, a young person who is watching us today or a parent will go on ChatGPT and search gender confusion. What ChatGPT will give is not what we are talking about. So he or she will do that exactly what ChatGPT has given, which is not true. Facebook. When we broke for a few minutes, I was talking about a life experience back in university where my friend got into internet dating, online dating. He met a gentleman whom he thought is a lady, very beautiful. She gave herself a name, Janet Risbach, if I remember very well.
A fake
Janet
name?
Risbach. A fake name with a very pretty face. So the young man, because one, he was broke, two, he was desperate after breaking up with his so-called girlfriend, whom he had invested in to be the future wife. And the dating started 2, 3 months, 4. Then the so-called lady, because of this young man being broke, the young man asked for money, and because the guy comes from a rich family, he sent money through PayPal, and the guy now he started to post the so-called lady on status, Facebook status and WhatsApp. So the relationship was serious. The guy lifestyle changed when the time to travel came. So because of lack of visa and the guy had no passport, so the lady, so-called lady, came, only to find out later on it was not a lady.
My God.
Depression began. So what I'm trying to say, lesbianism that my sisters just talked about is not only being indoctrinated in our schools. Internet is the worst thing that is doing this. LGBTQ stuff, defining gender, confusing with sex, is being done on internet. But until when the young people are inclusive, get to understand that the direction we are heading to, it requires you as a person to understand what you need to do. Tomorrow you will not have those parents around you at university. The decision remains you and you. Without reading all those materials, following what is on internet, as a person, think about what is expected of you. then you'll be able to make decisions right. Relationships are there, yes.
Okay.
You'll break up with a lady because of a mobile phone, but be patient until you get the right person. Mr. Right and Mrs. Right, yes, that was there. But the moment you understand yourself, you'll not find yourself being a gay, where you'll be rejected by the society, like today in Uganda, or being a lesbian, where you'll be rejected by your fellow ladies. Understand yourself, understand that you are a man, born in a man's status defined by God, but not a man or a woman defined by your fellow colleague.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yes, I can see Francis, you're getting ready with your microphone. Kindly go ahead.
The one phrase that just kept coming to my head as you spoke is that the internet is educating your children. Everything that goes on here, it's really with an agenda. Something is being taught. It's just not in a classroom setting, but there's education going on here. Whether they are reading it from someone who has posted a status, or whether they're reading it from someone who has done a TikTok video, there is a mentality underneath whatever was posted that your child is seeing, and it's educating them.
Yeah.
You know, we have the subtle movies and books. They start adding that mentality into it. And there's this one book that blew out on Instagram where a parent found that they had a children's book they had written. They put in how mommy and daddy makes children, basically put in sex there and put in masturbation for a book for 4 to 5 years olds in the school. And the parents only saw that because they were flipping through the children's book. That's recommended reading. You see it in movies. It first of all started with sexual immorality. You know, a boy, and this is the reason why Nigeria, nowadays, like watching in Nollywood movies, I have to screen for the best one, because it's like you meet a boy meets girl, tomorrow they're already sleeping together, and I'm always like, where did this come from now? You just met. It's subtle conditioning. It's education.
Okay.
A young girl watching that, meeting a guy who says, I like you, today, tomorrow, she's jumping into bed with him because she's seen that in a movie. You know, so we started seeing this in movies. It's like, they started putting the gay storyline in movies, the lesbian storyline in movies, reality TV shows of lesbian households. They're teaching you something. It's education. It's not just entertainment. We have to realize that.
Yeah.
And again, the second thing that came to mind is it's really a family issue. This is God calling parents back to the role of family. What is family? Family is a place where values are shared, where values are passed. We must go back, you know. Oh my gosh. You should have a curriculum, a teaching curriculum. The internet is bent at teaching your children. You should have your own teaching curriculum based on the tenets of scripture that you are pouring into your child, because if you are not doing that, they are learning it from elsewhere. Sure. And not just a teaching curriculum in that discipleship setting, even with the movies you want them to watch, even with the songs you want them to listen to, even on the plays you are putting in front of their faces. If they have social media, even with the kind of people you are saying, follow this person, don't follow that person, because whatever that person is sharing is educating your child in a way you want them to be able to hear that. So teaching even with the social media, because same social media, I say, can be used for positive or evil. There are people who are sharing God there. It depends on what is on your timeline, what is on your feed. So we just have to realize that. I feel it's just a call back to the home setting.
Okay.
Yeah, she reminds me when she mentions that for 2 minutes. When I was in high school, my mom could not allow me to use a phone. I started using a phone after she gave me one condition. If you pass KCPE exam, in Kenya we call it Kenya Certificate of Primary Education, I'll take you to high school. The school will say. So I struggled with my colleagues coming with the phones, hiding their pockets. Mine was carrying my bag to class. I was wondering, okay, they saw me as a still traditional, not modern. But I passed my exam, yes. Then the next condition I told her, now I'm going to this school. She said, okay. Yeah, that's good. I'm taking you to school. The only phone I remember I used was a very small phone where you can only receive a call and receive an Mpesa message. After high school, okay, she told me now that you passed exam. She bought me a small phone again. So, but I told her, I'm going to university. I need a smartphone. She said, do you know how to use a smartphone? I said, I can learn. So I was bought a smartphone. The first day in university, because I was used to the small phone, I gave the smartphone in the wrong way. So it was told. So I remained with the small phone. First day in first year, my colleagues searching notes on phone and with my small phone. But I got used to that. What she taught me, what I learned from my parents' conditions were, a phone, yes, is good, but I don't want to introduce you to something that will tend your mentality into something else. Today, I can use a real example. There's a friend of mine, when you go to his house, you not see a TV. And he's working, he has children, he has money, but you will not see a TV. Reason, he don't want his kids to get used to the TV. You understand, today she has been talking about movies. So he wants his children to focus first. It is a policy in that house. Number two, today you can watch news on a mobile phone. So why do you have a TV where children get curious to search anywhere and get, even if you have parental control? That movie, there are cartoon movies today. And the cartoon movies now today are totally different. Yeah, so in a nutshell, she also mentioned the curriculum. Today, we have comprehensive sexuality education that is being brought into our schools. That's what she was mentioned, which is seeking to sexualize our children, introduce them to masturbation, because whatever they read in those books is being translated into their practice when they are living their private life. So the moment we realize that everything that is being introduced in our schools through CSE, comprehensive sexuality education, which has a component on transgenderism that is seeking to introduce lesbianism, LGBTQ, we will secure our children. And that's why many times you're calling our government. And I'm glad to report to you as I finish. I was in Uganda. I participated in the first African Interparliamentary Conference, which brought over 25 countries that helped in coming up with a communique. In that communique has an element of the family she talked about, where the family setup, the family values, the African values, the cultural values. Today, our ladies are wearing differently. You meet a lady in town wearing a miniskirt, some not a miniskirt. In the past, ladies used to wear skirts. Today, ladies are wearing what? Trousers, they're wearing different clothes that are not aligned to what African cultural values are. So an appeal, and I would like to congratulate my sister, an appeal to our parents. This is the only time you can make a name or break a name. If you want to make a name, let your family setting be well set, or else you will go away today, your name will remain a very bad name. For me, Tobias, when I get married in the future, I don't want my name to be tainted. But how can I be able to do it? By setting up the example that I want my parents and my children to have.
Okay. And of course, the Catholic Church talks about charity begins at home.
Yes.
So the parent must take that initiative and help these kids to learn. And of course, by helping the kids, they'll of course share the other information to their friends and of course to other people around them. And allow me to read some of the few comments that we have gotten here. we have one person who says that we decide what's good or bad for ourselves. No one is confused here. We all know how a man and a woman looks like. People just choose to ignore that God exists, and they engage in this kind of LGBTQ homosexuality thing. We totally need deliverance. That's one person who says that. And then the other person says that no one is confused. People have chosen Satan over God, and others have allowed their minds to be colonized by the Americans. And yeah, those are some of the few comments. Yeah, thank you for your feedback, of course, to all those who are watching us. And of course, there's another one, of course, which we shall talk about later. Sex and music influence to people's lifestyle. But before we talk about that, let's talk about your book, Francis, that you have written with the title, God's Letter to All Lesbians. Why did you choose to write that book? What motivated you?
Really, the motivation behind it was, what is, number one, what is God's heart? Not rules. What is God's heart towards someone who is a lesbian or that's the book, a lesbian. That was number one. What would God say to someone who has totally embraced this life and this way of living? Number two, which is part of the work that I want to do with that book, which is going to secondary schools, high schools, and speaking to young girls and also distributing this book to them. We're going to 2 schools this week, and thankfully God gave us a donor who was able to help us sponsor some copies that we'll distribute to the girls for free. When I was in secondary school, I never had anyone talk about the lesbian issue. I never had anyone talk about sexuality. I never had anyone talk about pornography. I never heard anyone talk about masturbation. Even in the church, right? Nobody was talking about those things. And so I grew up just trying to navigate my way by myself. And then when things started happening, I didn't have anyone I could trust, safe to talk to. I encountered pornography when I was 11 or so, and I never told anyone. There was nobody I could, because I'd never heard anyone talk about those things. So what I didn't hear, I want to go back and tell to these young girls with God's perspective, because the world is teaching them their own experience now. The reason why my organization, we actually talk to young people on purpose, purpose and identity. And then I figured out that one of the things that could stop a young person from fulfilling God's purpose for their life is lust, sexual lust. And that's a weapon for it, whether it's coming in the form of pornography, masturbation, lesbianism, homosexuality, whatever. It's still lust. And a lot of young people are struggling with that. So if we're not talking about this in the church, then there are many people suffering in silence. So really that was the motivation behind it. And even coming from some of the comments in the YouTube, nobody's confused. That's great. But I think one thing, and that's why God does this thing where he delivers you from something and sends you back there because you're the perfect person to minister. God, there's a lot of deception. And yes, someone can actually be deceived. Someone can actually believe a lie, even as a Christian. You can. That's why 2 Corinthians 10 talks about pulling down strongholds, pulling down belief system, thought patterns, bringing them under subjection to Christ, under the knowledge of God. So when God looks at someone who's a lesbian, who's embracing that lifestyle, it's not just that they have chosen to embrace that lifestyle. They may actually believe that this is the right way. God sees more than we see. I have another book called Eniola, and it's a book on healing for those who have encountered who have been sexually abused. And actually that book talks about it both from the perspective of the one who has been abused and the one who abuses. Do you know that many people who abuse others actually will abuse themselves? So when you look at that person, you judge them and you say, how can you do this? You know, you've chosen to do it, but you don't know their broken pasts. When God looks at them, he sees all that. So if he's having a conversation with that person, it won't be the way you speak to that person that he speaks to that person. So I wanted that blend of God's heart.
Okay.
Not denying the sin, but also not condemning the person, but bringing them to redemption at the end. Whatever has gone on, whatever you believe, I want to introduce truths to you. God's truths, God's love. And that's a hard assignment because it's a perfect blend of a lot of things.
Okay.
But long and short, that's why I wrote that book.
All right. Thank you very much, Francis, for that insight. Allow me just to read this comment. Here we have Agnes Joseph, who says, I'm listening. Nice discussion. We have Patrick Mushiri, who's saying that he's following. Thank you, Patrick Mushiri. And there's a comment here from a guy here who says homosexuality and all that LGBTQ is demonic. I mean, with all these beautiful ladies out here, how can a man thirst for another man? Thank you for that. And of course, we are loving your feedback. Thank you very much. And we're saying, may God bless you all. Yes, Tobias.
I would like to loud what my sister said and correlate with the statement that was released by our Catholic bishops and the statement that was made by the Pope a few months ago, that better you hate the sin, but don't hate the person. And that's always our policy as a pro-life, pro-family, and I as a young person who works with the youth in the Empowered Youth Coalition, we receive so many young people. They get into this stage, as she said, because of some broken past stories. And how can you be able to help them? It has been a struggle to understand who this really person is. But the moment you educate, and that's why I'm telling my colleague young people, I know we are desperate because of money. We are desperate because of a number of issues. Many are doing this because either relationship issues, which is predominant not only in Africa, all across the world. Many ladies today are saying, I'm not going to get married. Many men today are saying, I'm not going to marry. Not because of lack of money or other issues, because of some brokenness in their heart that they want to find peace, but doing the wrong thing. The wrong things here we're mentioning, like engaging in masturbation for men and also for ladies, engaging in lesbianism, which is a very wrong vice. Today, we hear feminism, women rights, but we've not had men rights. So I've been questioning myself. Men lack rights. So the wrong vice, the wrong indoctrination of some terms, very expansive words, very expansive statements like gender, expansive statements like rights. When you mention rights today, it's not like the past. Human rights is obvious. But when you start to say women rights, that's where now these are the issues coming. And I would like to appreciate my sister in writing that book, dedicating that book to the many ladies today who are broken, the many teenagers in schools who are broken, not only even teenagers, elderly women today are broken. So let us understand that these terms sometimes they mean good to us, but the way we interpret them in the public opinion, when you seek public opinion today, even here in Kenya, you'll find when you talk about women's rights, you'll find a section of women defending their rights to abortion, their rights to use of contraception, their rights to defend lesbianism, which is a vice, a wrong vice, their rights to defend their gay fellow men. They call it rights. So being cautious, and I finally appreciate you again, my sister, and you are not alone. I'm pretty sure that the book you've written and the many books maybe you look forward to write, and the many men who have not written books about gay, and why gay is wrong, they will wake up and write.
Very true.
And maybe one day Tobias will write a book as well.
All right. Looking forward to reading yours too. Okay, thank you very much, both of you, for your insights. And because I think we're running out of time, I'll just give you 1 minute to do your parting shot, your takeaway. What would you love to tell our viewers, the young youth out there, the message that you have for them, starting with you, Francis?
Thank you so much again for having me. I really want to leave this message off, because sometimes we ask, I may want to change, but I don't know, is change possible? I've been in this lifestyle for so long. It's all I've ever known. Is it really possible that I could ever leave? I'd like to tell you that yes, you can. I was telling my host, I said there's something that Jesus does to a man that does not remove the temptation, but removes the desire for the sin. Yes.
All right.
It may not, you may not, be above temptation. You may feel tempted, but that roots, that desire, that compulsion, that thing that compels you, that says, I have to do this and do the wrong thing, Jesus can take it away. And if you can, I really like you to just ask him for help. Say, Lord, help me with this. The first thing that happens to you is that you come to the place that says this is wrong. And then the second thing is you cannot help yourself. So acknowledge and say, God, I see that this is a wrong vice. I see that I'm under something I can't break myself out from. Help me. And he will help you. Last thing is, if you want to get the book titled God's Letters to All Lesbians, it's available in Kenya on Books for My Soul. You can, I don't know if we can give you the link in the description box. You can put it in the description box. You can go get that from there. If you want the hard copies, you can also get in touch with us.
Very true.
Contact details, I'm not sure, but you can. And then if you are also passionate about this and maybe want to sponsor free copies, because for the secondary schools we go to, we want the books to be free for them. If you want to sponsor copies, and we print, and when we go and speak, we just share. And maybe if you want the e-copy to see what it's about before you sponsor, you can also get in touch with us. At Hepzibah Frances on social media channels, and maybe find a way to get in touch with our host, and they'll get in touch with us. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much, Francis, for that. I guess, Tobias.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to appreciate the fact that I was born from a family that raised me up to be the Tobias I am today.
Wow.
I would like to dedicate a book called Stand for the Family, written by President Sharon Slater, the president of Family Watch International, a co-founder of the Empowered Youth Coalition. This is a book I dedicate to all families. You can get it on the website familywatchinternational.org. And you get all materials you can share with your children. There are so many videos there. You can also get more information on the youth. There are many struggling young people there. You want to be like me? I have also my challenges. Don't emulate the Tobias. Emulate what Tobias tells you, but to get more insight on how to be empowered, how to be able to learn, and join the many young people across the world who are targeting to do the right thing. You can also get more information on the empoweredyouthcoalition.org. It is a platform for the youth, or the organizations who have youth that they don't have a platform. You can let them join the platform, and also organizations that would like to be part of it. It is a platform for all of us. An advice to all the young people. I would like to laud what the Catholic bishops and the Christian religious leaders have always said, and even the Muslims. It is always good to define who we are and follow the Christ teachings and God's work, who created us to be man and woman, and appreciate the fact that we are here for only a season. Whatever you do today, a young person, is going to implicate the future of your life tomorrow. You want to make the right choice, make the choice today. You want to marry a beautiful, or you want to marry a handsome man, wait and make decisions right.
All right.
Rush, you will regret. To get in touch with me, I remain Tobias.
All right.
And there are many things we can share outside the corridors, but to the young people, I still insist, internet is good. Everything that glitters is not gold. Internet is glittering today. Can you check what is being posted before you go ahead and search? Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you very much, Tobias and Francis, for that insight. It has been a very informative session. As you can see, we have very many people who are following this conversation, and thank you so much to all of you. We have Beatrice Wakio, Martin Maus, Rosina Mutuko, Rafael Mbithi, and we have Christine Gillian and Jeremy Thea, thank you very much, and wishing you a blessed day, because much has been said and time is not on our side, and apologies that we began our show quite a bit late, but trust me, next time it won't happen, and I'm wishing you a very lovely day. Be blessed. I don't know, Francis, you can tell us, how can we tell our viewers that we love them in Nigeria language?
They always ask me this. Ifemi, I love you. Ifemi, I'm not Yoruba, but that's the first one that comes to my mind.
Okay, Ifemi.
I love you, yeah.
Okay, Ifemi. Okay, Ifemi, to all of you, our viewers, bye-bye. See you next time.
Enjoy this conversation with me, Maureen Kimani, every Friday from 9 a.m. on our Health Corner show here at Capuchin TV. Your health is your wealth.
Mpendwa muumini na mtazamaji wa Capuchin TV, tumsifu Yesu Kristu. Imetimia miaka 6 tangu Mwenyezi Mungu alipotuita sisi ndugu wa Francisco wa Capuchini na akaweka juu ya mikono yetu huduma hii Katoliki ya uinjilishaji. Tunamshukuru Mungu kwa kutujalia neema nyingi na baraka kuendeleza huduma hii. Huduma hii imeendelea kuwezeshwa na washikadau wengi, wewe mtazamaji ukiwa miongoni mwao. Nachukua fursa hii kwa niaba ya runinga ya Capuchin kushukuru sana Baraza la Maaskofu wa Katoliki hapa nchini KCCB kupitia kwa mwenyekiti wake Mhashamu Martin Kivuva, askofu wa jimbo kuu la Mombasa. Tunashukuruni sana wahashamu baba zetu maaskofu kwa ukarimu wenu na kwa kuruhusu runinga hii ifike pembe zote za jimbo zetu. Tunashukuru kwa sababu tumeeneza Injili pamoja na waumini katika jimbo zote 26 hapa nchini. Tunashukuru mapadre na watawa wa kiume na wa kike katika jimbo na mashirika mbalimbali ya kitawa, baba maparoko, wakurugenzi, waratibu na wasimamizi wa taasisi, idara na vitengo mbalimbali vya kanisa kwa kujiunga nasi katika kuangazia habari na huduma njema zinazotolewa na kanisa Katoliki hapa nchini. Tunashukuru sana wadhamini wetu, wale wanaofikisha ujumbe kuhusu bidhaa na huduma zao kwako wewe mtazamaji kwa kuweka matangazo kupitia kwa runinga hii. Tunashukuru sana mpendwa mtazamaji kwa kutukaribisha kwako. Umetukaribisha nyumbani kwako kwa kuchagua kutazama runinga hii. Umetukaribisha moyoni mwako kwa kutuenzi na kutufanya tuwe chaguo lako na kitambulisho chako Katoliki. Tunakushukuru wewe muumini mtazamaji kwa kutuaminia sala zako. Kila siku mapadre washikadau wetu wanaadhimisha ibada takatifu ya misa kwa ajili ya mahitaji na sala zako. Katika ukarimu, huruma na upendo wake Mungu kwako, tunamuomba yeye akubariki na kukulinda wewe na wapendwa wako pamoja na kuzifanikisha kazi za mikono yako. Tunakushukuru sana wewe mtazamaji, unayetuwezesha na kutushikilia kwa mchango wako wa sala na mali yako, ili tuendelee kutangaza na kuangazia kazi njema ya Kanisa Katoliki. Mungu akubariki. Asante sana. Asante mara 6.
The word of the Lord came to me, saying, Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 4-5. On Thursday, 31st of August 2023, the Capuchin television team will join the Franciscan Sisters of St. Joseph in Asumbi, Homa Bay County to mark a quadruplex celebration of religious perpetual vows, Silver Jubilee, Golden Jubilee, and Diamond Jubilee. Among the religious women who will be celebrated are 6 sisters who will be professing final religious vows, and these are "12 sisters will be marking 25 years of religious life. Three sisters will celebrate their Golden Jubilee. We shall also witness 4 Asumbi sisters celebrating Diamond Jubilee, marking 60 years of religious life. The fourfold celebrations will start at 10 a.m. at the Asumbi Mother's House grounds at St. Teresa's Catholic Parish, led by His Lordship Michael Otieno Odiwa, Bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Homa Bay. The event will be aired live on Capuchin TV and its corresponding digital timelines. Keep watching Capuchin TV, your Catholic identity.